wait just a minute. All right. Thank you. We'll call this meeting to order at 5:30. Roll call, please.
Yes, Director Sailors,
Present.
Director Costa,
Here.
and Director Sheets. And Director Clark let me know he would be absent this evening. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So now this is the public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within the committee's scope, including items on or not on the agenda. Do we have any?
I don't have any speaker cards and no one online.
All right. Thank you. So we'll do consent agenda. Anybody have any questions? Can we get a motion? Thank you. We have a
Second.
motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Costa,
Aye.
Director Sheets.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. Thank you. With that, we have our presentation items. The first one is Administrative Policy 02.023.02, District Vehicle Use Policy, and we have our Chief Human Resources Officer, Melissa Maddox.
Good evening, directors. I'm Melissa Maddox, the Chief Human Resource Officer. I have two policies tonight to go over. The first one is the District Vehicle Use Policy, 0.02.023.02. So this is actually an existing policy. It just hadn't been updated in quite some time. So this isn't new. It's not a new policy. It has some edits through there to clarify some things. So I'll kind of go through those. The purpose of the policy is to establish standard requirements and procedures for district employees who have district vehicles and take them home, or district lease vehicles as well. The updates include just on, for instance, the first page is just some minor cleanup, that kind of thing, revisions, no substance on that page. But on page 2, we did add a 50-mile radius. That is so employees who are assigned a district take-home vehicle, if they live within 50 miles of the headquarters, then they can take their vehicle home. If they live outside the 50-mile radius, then they can leave it at the nearest station towards, the border of where they're on their way home, basically. That was already the district's that was already our practice. It just wasn't spelled out clearly in the policy. So we thought it was important to put it in the policy. That way no one had any misconceptions on if they could take it home, they can't take it home. It's just very clear. So also just having a 50-mile radius for those with emergency vehicles, having a reasonable time to respond in case of an emergency. So that was helpful there, even though we don't have a requirement that you live within 50 miles, but if you have a district vehicle in an emergency situation, it's good to be able to get her quickly. So on page 2 is additionally on page 2, lower down on the page, is where we added the actual positions that are assigned take-home vehicles. There are some other various vehicles that are assigned based on district business need that are, are determined by the fire chief, as long as they meet that criteria that's in the policy. But I won't go through all the positions that are listed, but now they're clearly listed in here. And I do need to make you aware of one edit that I will be making before we post it live. I accidentally left off logistics manager. So I'm going to add that title in the rest of the other titles. So that'll be edited before it gets posted. And again, page 3 and 4 are just additional formatting, cleanup, that type of stuff. No big changes. Do you have any questions regarding this policy? I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? No? I just want to say thank you. I know we've talked a lot about this policy and in particular, just clarifying, it's important to clarify for our constituents, our taxpayers, that we're managing the resources according to their expectations. So thank you for clarifying the 50-mile radius.
Of course. And again, this is only an administrative policy. So if there's no further edits, then we can go ahead and post it. It doesn't need to go to full board. So
All right. No other questions? All right. Thank you very much. And I think you're staying for the next one.
yes.
All right. So this is an action item. So board policy 01.003.08, family medical leave policy.
Yes. So this is probably the one policy that we revised the most. It almost seems like we revise it every single year because the leave laws in California and federal laws constantly change or are added to. So you'll see this one a lot. It doesn't, it just keeps adding on and on and on and on. And sometimes the federal laws don't really jive with the California laws. So we have to kind of work through that. And we usually have to get legal advice on it to make sure that we're following the laws appropriately. So, this, like once a year, this was last revised on June 8th in 2023. And that was revised to expand the list of covered persons under CFRA that an employee can take protected leave for. So they basically added more individuals. So that was the last change. This newest change was needed because we had made changes to the sick leave policy, which has already been reviewed by policy committee and onto being posted, and that goes into effect on January 1st. But the changes that were made in the sick leave policy also corresponded to changes in the FMLA, CFRA, PDL. So we finally got to getting this one to be matching with the sick leave policy. And then lastly, the biggest change to this policy came about with Senate Bill 848, which provides employees for reproductive loss leave. It's a new type of leave. And it's a leave basically for reproductive loss. So if you have a miscarriage, if you are going through in vitro, if you have a failed adoption, an employee is entitled up to 5 days off per loss, up to a maximum of 20 days per year. And it's an unpaid leave. It's a protected leave, just like FMLA, CFRA. So we added all the information in there so employees know that it's available and that they can use their accruals if they want to get paid, but under the law, they also have the right to go unpaid if they choose. So it's really kind of up to them. And there's not really it's not really hard to apply for. It's just the same process as FMLA, CFRA, any of the other protected leaves. So, but specifically in the policy on page 1, the language that's changed, it's not really changing the policy. It was just made to match the sick leave policy. So it's just rewording kind of the same paragraph, but just so the two policies read exactly the same. And on page 2, the biggest edit is adding the definition for reproductive loss leave. So everyone is aware of what it is, what it means, when you can use it. Page 4 is updated language to be, again, consistent with the sick leave policy. So it's just rephrasing the same information just so they both are consistent. Page 5, again, same thing. Additional changes were needed to match the sick leave policy. And that does happen a lot of times with the FMLA. Other policies get changed and it somehow will affect these protected leaves in some way. So we want to make sure they're all consistent. On page 6 is where it actually lists out the provisions for the reproductive loss leave. As I said, it's minimum 5 days due to miscarriage, stillbirth, failed adoption, failed surrogacy, or unsuccessful assisted reproduction. And then the rest of the policy is just cleanup language, commas, capitalization, that kind of thing. This one is a board policy, so we are recommending the revisions are approved by you, and we will refer it up to full board for final approval. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you very much.
Lastly, I just wanted to go over Next year in January's full board meeting, I will be doing a full presentation on what we've accomplished this past year for policies and what we're looking forward to doing next year. So I'll have a full list of all the policies that have been completed, and do a full board presentation for that. But just a quick overview for you. So far to date in 2024, we've revised, approved, and posted 46 policies and job descriptions. Of course, you haven't seen all of those because not all of them are admin policies or board policies, but there is a lot of other policies in the background that are constantly being worked on by division managers and changes across the board. So, and then next year, we already have 26 more policies and job descriptions that are in process that have already been opened, I guess. So have been discussed and are just kind of waiting for revision. Some of the bigger ones that will be coming early next year is our drug and alcohol free workplace policy. That's all. It's an existing policy again, but we have done a lot of work over the last year with legal counsel to make sure that it's up to date with the new laws regarding marijuana and testing and all that. So that one, we've been working with 522 closely to make sure that we're all on the same page and that they approve it as well. So that one's probably the biggest one coming soon. But like I said, there's 26 more that we're working on, and that list will continue to keep growing. But that's just initially. So next January, I'll come and I'll have a full list PowerPoint so the full board can see what we've been working on. That's all I have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Second to approve the FMLA policy.
Correct.
I'll make a motion.
And a second. All right. Roll call, please.
Director Sailors,
Aye.
Director Costa,
Aye.
Director Sheets. Thank you. Motion passes. That policy will be referred to the board at a future meeting for approval. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And just to clarify, our next meeting, is it in December? Our next policy committee meeting, December 12th. Okay. Just want to confirm that. It says on here, the next meeting is the 12th. Okay. Okay. So the next policy committee will be in December 12th.
Yep.
And then we can, okay, we could connect on that. All right, perfect. Well, that brings us to the end of the meeting. Meeting adjourned.